Imagine walking into a room filled with people, each one carrying their own strengths, flaws, and ambitions. Some stand with quiet confidence, their wisdom evident in their words and actions. Others, however, move through life blind to their own shortcomings, trapped in cycles of ignorance, vanity, and self-deception. The difference between these two kinds of people is not intelligence, nor is it circumstance. It is awareness. A wise woman understands her flaws and works to overcome them. A foolish woman, on the other hand, refuses to see herself clearly. She clings to destructive habits, justifies her worst behaviors, and resists the very growth that could set her free. We all know someone like this. A woman who believes she is always right, even when she is painfully wrong. One who values appearances more than substance, drama more than peace, manipulation more than honesty. A woman who avoids knowledge, disregards accountability, and wonders why life never seems to go her way. But foolishness is not a life sentence, it is a choice. And like all choices, it can be changed. Today we will explore the 6 defining signs of a woman who refuses to see the truth, and in doing so, understand what it truly means to rise above ignorance. A woman blind to herself is a tragic figure, not because she lacks intelligence, but because she refuses to confront reality. She moves through life under the illusion that she is always right, always justified, always beyond reproach. Her opinions are not questioned, her choices are not examined, and her flaws remain invisible to her own eyes. This is not ignorance in the traditional sense. It is willful blindness, an unwillingness to turn inward and see what truly lies beneath the surface. She might be charming, confident even, but beneath that exterior is a deep fear of self-reflection. If she were to pause, to genuinely consider her own words, her own patterns, she might uncover truths that make her uncomfortable. And so, she does not pause. She charges ahead, convinced that her perception of the world is the only valid one. She dismisses criticism, not because it lacks merit, but because admitting fault would require humility, a quality she does not nurture. This woman finds comfort in blaming external forces for every failure, every shortcoming. If a relationship crumbles, the fault lies with the other person. If she is passed over for an opportunity, it is because someone conspired against her. If her life is unsatisfying, it is because the world has been unfair. There is always an excuse, always an explanation. That absolves her of responsibility. Self-awareness would demand that she look at her own decisions, her own mindset, and ask whether they contributed to her misfortunes. But this is an exercise she avoids at all costs. This blindness does not just affect her personal growth, it poisons her relationships. The people around her grow tired of the endless justifications, the inability to admit mistakes. They see the arrogance disguised as confidence, the defensiveness that emerges the moment she is questioned. Over time, they learn that reasoning with her is futile, and so they either walk away or resign themselves to silence, allowing her to live in her delusion. The saddest part is that she believes she is in control. She believes that by refusing to question herself, she is protecting her identity, her strength. But in truth, she is shackled by her own refusal to grow. She remains trapped in cycles of failure, unable to evolve because she does not recognize the need to do so. The world moves forward, but she stands still, convinced that she has already arrived at wisdom, at truth, at perfection. The irony is that real strength, real intelligence comes from the very thing she avoids: self-examination, to look in the mirror and see both the light and the darkness within, to acknowledge flaws without excuse, to listen when someone offers insight rather than immediately rejecting it. These are the marks of a person who is truly awake, but she remains asleep, lost in the comfort of her own delusions. And so her blindness becomes her greatest weakness, her most defining flaw. A woman who prioritizes vanity over wisdom is one who has become a prisoner of her own reflection. She moves through life obsessed with appearances, ensuring that every strand of hair is in place, every angle of her face is flattering, and every outfit she wears projects an image of perfection. But beneath this carefully constructed exterior, there is little substance. She invests hours in her beauty regimen, yet refuses to spend even a fraction of that time nurturing her mind, developing her character, or expanding her understanding of the world. Her sense of worth is dictated by external validation. Compliments fuel her confidence, and attention reassures her of her importance. She carefully curates her social media presence, not to share meaningful experiences, but to maintain an illusion of a glamorous, enviable life. She seeks admiration, not respect. She wants to be noticed, but not necessarily for anything of depth or value. Conversations with her rarely extend beyond the surface. She speaks of trends, of gossip, of who's wearing what, but struggles when the discussion requires introspection or intellect. If presented with an opportunity to engage in something intellectually stimulating, she often dismisses it as boring or unnecessary. This mindset does not develop overnight. It is nurtured through years of prioritizing aesthetics over essence. Perhaps she was praised excessively for her looks in childhood, leading her to believe that beauty is her greatest, if not only, asset. Perhaps society reinforced the idea that a woman's value is tied to her physical appeal rather than her intellect or achievements. Whatever the cause, she grows into a person who believes that as long as she is desirable, she is successful. No matter how much effort she puts into maintaining her appearance, she remains insecure. Beauty fades, and deep down she knows this. No amount of makeup, cosmetic procedures, or stylish clothing can stop the passage of time. She may chase the illusion of eternal youth, but the fear of losing her looks lingers in the background. It is a fear that wisdom could have soothed, for a woman who values knowledge and character over mere aesthetics understands that true attractiveness is not skin deep. Her relationships suffer as well. She may attract admirers, but admiration based solely on physical appeal is fleeting. When the novelty wears off, when real conversations need to be had, when challenges arise that require depth of character, she struggles. She may surround herself with people who flatter her, but rarely with those who challenge her to grow. She views those who speak of personal development and self-improvement as tiresome, dismissing them in favor of those who reinforce her need for superficial validation. A woman like this may one day wake up and realize that she has spent years perfecting something temporary while neglecting what could have been permanent. She has polished the exterior, yet the interior remains hollow. And in the end, no matter how much she tries to conceal it, the emptiness within begins to show. A woman who thrives on drama and gossip is one who finds excitement in the chaos of others rather than the progress of herself. She is rarely at peace, for she has trained her mind to seek entertainment in the misfortunes, scandals, and conflicts of those around her. The quiet of self-reflection unsettles her, so she fills the silence with whispers of speculation, judgment, and half-truths disguised as facts. She is the messenger of unnecessary tension, the architect of meaningless disputes, and the collector of details that serve no purpose other than to be weaponized later. This is not always done with malice, though the consequences are often destructive. Sometimes she convinces herself that she is simply staying informed or keeping things interesting. She believes she has insight into everyone's affairs, mistaking her habit of prying for a gift of intuition. When conversations turn toward personal growth, ambition, or meaningful ideas, she quickly grows bored. But if someone mentions a scandal, real or fabricated, her eyes light up with interest. She leans in, eager to dissect every word, every detail, every perceived wrongdoing. It does not matter if the story is incomplete or exaggerated. The thrill is in the telling, in the spreading, in the reactions she can provoke. She is drawn to conflict like a moth to flame. If none exists, she will create it. A harmless comment will be twisted into an insult, a simple misunderstanding stretched into betrayal. She inserts herself into situations that do not concern her, not to help, but to stir emotions, to ignite tempers, to ensure that peace remains just out of reach. If two people are on good terms, she will subtly plant seeds of doubt between them, weaving narratives that lead to suspicion. She is not content with calm. She craves the storm. This addiction to drama is a form of avoidance. Rather than addressing her own flaws, her own stagnation, her own unfulfilled potential, she focuses on the lives of others. It is easier to analyze their mistakes than to confront her own. It is easier to dissect someone else's heartbreak than to admit she has not built anything meaningful in her own life. By keeping the spotlight on the missteps of those around her, she diverts attention away from her own shortcomings. Those who spend too much time around her eventually notice the pattern. They see how she twists narratives. How a woman who relies on emotional manipulation instead of reason is one who has mastered the art of bending reality to her advantage. She understands that logic may not always serve her desires, so she chooses a different path, one that involves subtle coercion, carefully placed words and exaggerated emotions to steer situations in her favor. This is not an act of intelligence, but of avoidance, a refusal to confront life with honesty and accountability. Instead of solving problems through discussion and reasoning, she twists them until they fit her narrative, ensuring that she remains in control even when she is at fault. Her methods vary depending on the situation. When faced with criticism, she does not acknowledge her mistake. Instead, she deflects. If someone points out her flaws, she does not reflect, she plays the victim. A simple disagreement turns into an attack on her character, and suddenly, the person offering feedback is painted as cruel or insensitive. She turns the focus away from the issue at hand and redirects it toward the emotions she has manufactured, ensuring that those around her feel guilty rather than justified. In doing so, she avoids responsibility while making others hesitant to challenge her again. When she wants something she has not earned, she does not work for it. She manipulates. She might use tears when logic fails, knowing that emotional displays make people uncomfortable. She might exaggerate distress to gain sympathy, ensuring that others step in to fix problems she could have resolved on her own. She might even use silence, withdrawing affection or communication as a means of punishment until those around her submit to her demands. These tactics do not come from genuine feeling, but from calculation, a practiced ability to make others bend to her will without ever having to be direct. This pattern is often learned over time. Perhaps she discovered early in life that expressing vulnerability, whether real or staged, made people more likely to give in to her wishes. Perhaps she was rewarded for playing the role of the fragile, misunderstood woman, reinforcing the idea that manipulation is more effective than honesty. Whatever the origin, it becomes her default response to adversity, making her emotionally dishonest not only with others but with herself. She believes her actions are justified, convincing herself that she is simply navigating the world as she must. But in reality, she is avoiding the discomfort of accountability, of compromise, of the vulnerability that comes with genuine human connection. Those around her eventually recognize the pattern. Friends grow weary of the constant guilt-tripping, of always being the ones to apologize, of feeling manipulated rather than valued. Romantic partners begin to see through the act, realizing that they are not loved for who they are, but for how easily they can be controlled. Over time, she may find herself surrounded only by those too naive to notice or too exhausted to fight back. And even then the cycle continues, because manipulation does not create love, does not build respect, and does not earn true loyalty. It only ensures temporary compliance in a world that eventually demands truth. A woman who disregards knowledge and growth is one who chooses comfort over challenge, entertainment over enlightenment, and ignorance over understanding. She does not lack intelligence, but she neglects it, allowing her mind to remain stagnant while the world moves forward. It is not that she cannot learn, it is that she refuses to. The pursuit of knowledge requires effort, curiosity, and humility, three things she has little interest in cultivating. Instead, she surrounds herself with distractions, avoiding anything that demands critical thinking or self-improvement. She prefers shallow conversations over meaningful discussions. If a topic requires deep thought or analysis, she quickly loses interest, brushing it off as boring or unnecessary. She avoids books unless they serve as decoration, and if she does read, it is rarely to expand her mind but to reinforce what she already believes. She does not seek out new perspectives or challenge her own ideas, because doing so would force her to admit that she does not know everything. She mistakes familiarity for wisdom, assuming that because she has heard something before, she understands it fully. This refusal to grow is evident in how she spends her time. Hours are wasted on gossip, mindless entertainment, and social media, where she absorbs trivial information but retains nothing of real value. She can tell you about the latest celebrity scandal, the most recent trend in the drama unfolding in someone else's life, but ask her about history, philosophy, or personal development, and she has little to offer. She sees learning as something confined to school, something to be abandoned once the demands of formal education no longer apply. In doing so, she limits herself, ensuring that she remains the same person year after year, untouched by wisdom, unmoved by progress. This attitude extends beyond books and intellectual pursuits. It affects her character. Growth is not just about knowledge. It is about becoming a better, wiser person. She resists this too, unwilling to reflect on her flaws or consider that she might be wrong. She dismisses constructive criticism as negativity and sees those who challenge her views as threats rather than teachers. When faced with new information that contradicts her beliefs, she does not examine it. She rejects it outright. She clings to what is comfortable, even if it is outdated, misguided, or harmful. Her relationships suffer because of this stagnation. The people around her may initially tolerate her lack of depth, but over time they realize that meaningful conversations are impossible. She is incapable of offering insight, of engaging in discussions that require thought, of contributing anything beyond surface-level observations. Those who value growth will eventually outgrow her, leaving her surrounded by those who, like her, prefer mediocrity over mastery. She may not even realize it, convinced that intelligence is overrated, that depth is unnecessary, that life is meant to be lived without questioning too much. But in avoiding knowledge, she does not just remain ignorant. She denies herself the richness, the power, and the freedom that only a mind willing to grow can ever truly experience. A woman who refuses to take accountability for her actions lives in a world where nothing is ever her fault. She walks through life blaming others for every failure, every setback, every mistake, convinced that responsibility belongs anywhere but in her own hands. If a relationship ends, it was the other person who failed her. If she loses a job, it was because of unfair treatment. If she makes a poor decision, circumstances forced her into it. She has crafted a reality where she is always the victim, never the cause, and in doing so, she shields herself from the discomfort of self-examination. This avoidance of accountability does not mean she is unaware of her faults. On some level, she knows when she has done wrong, when she has spoken out of turn, when she has acted impulsively. But rather than face these moments with honesty, she rewrites the narrative in her favor. If she is criticized, she dismisses it as jealousy or cruelty. If someone distances themselves from her, she convinces herself that they were never a true friend to begin with. Every challenge, every consequence becomes a story where she is the misunderstood protagonist, unfairly treated by a world that does not appreciate her. This mindset keeps her from growing. Without accountability, there is no learning, no reflection, no change. Mistakes are not opportunities for improvement. They are merely inconveniences to be justified or ignored. She repeats the same behaviors, encounters the same problems, and wonders why life continues to work against her. But the truth is that life is not against her. She is against herself. She is trapped in cycles of failure because she refuses to acknowledge the role she plays in them. She expects different results while making the same choices, never realizing that the common factor in her misfortunes is her own unwillingness to change. Her relationships bear the weight of this refusal. Friends, partners, colleagues, all grow exhausted from constantly being blamed, from being made to feel responsible for issues that are not theirs to fix. At first, they may try to reason with her to show her how her actions contribute to her problems, but over time they learn that accountability is a language she does not speak. They either accept the burden of always being at fault, or they walk away, leaving her to believe, once again, that she has been wronged. What she does not realize is that accountability is not a punishment, it is power. Those who own their mistakes, who learn from them, who adjust their behavior, become stronger, wiser, and more respected. But she remains stuck, resisting the very thing that could set her free. The world does not conspire against her, nor does fate single her out for hardship. The answer has always been within her grasp. waiting for the moment she chooses to stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. Until then, she will remain in the same place, wondering why nothing ever seems to change. Ignorance is not about intelligence, but about choice. A woman who refuses to grow, who thrives on vanity and drama, who manipulates rather than reasons, who resists knowledge, and who refuses to take accountability is not merely flawed, she is stagnant. Life offers endless opportunities for self-improvement, but only to those who have the humility to embrace them. The world does not reward those who remain blind to their own weaknesses. It favors those who have the courage to confront them. Strength is not found in excuses, nor in deception, but in the willingness to evolve. To those who choose wisdom over ignorance, depth over superficiality, and accountability over blame, the path forward is clear. The question is not whether one can change, but whether one will. Growth is always within reach, but only for those who dare to grasp it. Good luck on your journey towards self-awareness and wisdom. May you always seek truth, embrace growth, and walk forward with purpose. Thank you.